Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I didn't manage to get part 2 done yesterday. Sorry. It's just been. I'm going to actually tell you. Just sometimes I don't get time to do it as and when. My father is actually quite sick at the moment. He has Parkinson's, so I am sort of here and there at the drop of a hat. And as you know, family always comes first before crafting. Crafting is, you know, it's a thing that I do that really does take my mind off of things, channel things. I find it therapeutic. So I do apologise for not getting this out yesterday. So we're going to do this morning, and I'm going to try and get the rest of the components of the box done today. So we've got this done in 2 parts. Aware of time. So right. So let's just recap. We did the 10.5 centimetre inside box yesterday, didn't we? So we made our panels, our 3 panels, and we made it a struggle, our 10.5 centimetre hexagon. And I noticed yesterday as well, I kept saying, what a protractor, and it's not, it's a compass. You remember we used our compass to make our hexagon, and we used, I think it was the 3rd, was it? It was the 3rd layering die in to cut another hexagon within the middle. So that's our middle box. We did our outside box and we cut our panels on there, and we have our hexagon for the outside box obviously, and the lid. So those are the parts that we did yesterday. So now we're going to move on. There are 3 more parts to construct, or 3 more parts to cut. Let's not say construct, 3 more parts to cut. Now I've zoomed in a bit more in this one so that you could really see this. And I have already scored the lines, but I am going to give you the score line dimensions as well. How am I going to do this so you can see? I really want you to see this. Right, so if you remember, I said that we needed to make our little tiny holders, our light holders for the bottom of the box to string our lights through. Well, these are the dimensions, and I will say, I would do this on don't do this on a 200 GS. I mean, you can do, but bearing in mind there is a very tight squeeze. You've only got a 1 centimetre gap in between your outer box and your inner box, which is why we're scoring here at 5 millimeters. Now, you could use a 200 GSM if you wanted to, but I don't. And the reason being is I like to have a bit of flexibility in those, just because when you're pushing the inner side box in and you've got all your wires, you just really need that to be just a little bit flexible so that it kind of pushes in, so there's no obstruction at all to the inner box. And if you start using 200, 300 upwards, you know, I think you're better off for the inside to use, I think this is a 180 GSM, so it's quite a thin one. Again, it's personal choice. I would use a 180 just for flexibility. But you could, but it's just, you know, you haven't, this edge around the outside, around the inside of the box is 1 centimetre. So you really don't have enough room. And I will say it again, you can drop a size with your hexagons, but I keep saying the only reason we're doing it at 10.5 with that is because we're using this to fit our books in, our memory books in. So you have to have it like that. The only other way to do it differently is getting an even bigger box, an even bigger hexagon, which would have to be a lot larger than 11.5 centimetres, and then you're getting into ridiculous levels of boxes because they'd just be too huge. Right, so this is what we're going to do to make our little light holders. So you're going to butt your piece of paper up and you're going to score down at 5 millimeters, okay? Which is that little half on your scoreboard. You then come up to 2.5. Okay, you then score at 3. You then score at 5. Then it's 5.5. Then at 7.5, and then 8. Moving on, 10, 10.5, 12.5, and 13. Okay, that's where you're scoring. Those are your score lines, and that's giving you a 5mm and a 2cm. Okay, you'll then turn your piece of paper round, and then you're going to score on every 2 centimetres. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and so on, every 2 until you get left with that. Okay, so you are going to use your cutters, your trimmers. Again, I only do this because I just want to show you how these work. Now, I always do a lot actually, so I've got plenty there. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to cut, let me just check where I am cutting. That's right. So you're going to do your first cut. Let's just show you on that line, okay? So that's where you've got your 5, your 2, your 5, your 2, your 5. So you're going to cut down on those. And remember, these are going to give you more than enough. Let's just, sorry, I've zoomed the camera in a bit this time because I really wanted you to see this, because when we do the lid, it's important, you know, the top part of it that goes around the top for you to see. So you're coming down there, and that's what you're getting left with. Okay, then you're just cutting down directly down the line. Okay, directly down the straight line. I'll show you in a minute. How many have we done there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to need 6 of these. Okay, you could put more in if you wanted to. I put 1 on each hexagon, but you could put more in. Well, I'll have a look as we're doing that to just double check that you can do that. So those are what you get left with. Can you see that? Those are what you get left with. And all you're doing is you're going to fold. Okay, let's see this so you can see that. You're folding down all those lines. Okay, like that. And you get left with a box. Oh, my camera's gone off. Oh, that's pretty annoying. Hang on. Would it help if I could actually see? Let's get rid of that. That's better. Sorry, I couldn't see. So you get left with that. Have I not brought any? Oh, let's just open the wet glue. I think I've taken all my wet glues in the other room. I'll open up a new one. Okay, so all you're going to do to make these, and we will set them up now, so is just stick them down. It is really that simple. Now the reason we've got, this is why, do you remember yesterday when I said we need a 2 centimetre gap? This is what it's for, a 2.5, sorry, at the bottom. This is what it's for. Now you could just have a sip. You could make these, instead of having a 2 centimetre, you could make it into a 1 centimetre. You cannot change the width at 5mm, but you could change this into a 1 centimetre. It just means that you're going to have less room to string your lights around, and really 2 centimetres is I wouldn't recommend doing it 1. It's going to take you ages, especially if you're stringing around thick lights. You see, that's another thing. You have to decide what kind of lights you're going to use. If you are using the thicker ones, you know, with the AA batteries, then you're going to need a lot more room to string them through. Do you see? So it's all this thought has to be done when you're, I'm just giving you the eventualities, if you know what I mean, for what could happen while you're making these boxes, the do's and the don'ts, if you know what I mean. So this is another reason I've given a 2 centimetre, and that is in case you want to use the thicker lights, and then you really do need that, you need that 2 centimetres to string them through. Do you see what I mean? Maybe the wire ones you could drop drop a size to 1 centimetre with the wide ones, but you know, with the, I haven't got any here actually, they're all in the other room. It's always the way. You would need to use, yes, a 2 centimetre one for the larger ones. I think it's because, I mean, we've got Christmas coming up now, and we all know that the lovely shop where everything is £1, we all know that shop. And they have lots of lovely lights, battery operated lights at Christmas. Some really stunning ones. I bought some really lovely ones last year actually. You can get snowflakes and ice drops, and you know, you don't have to string these along at the bottom of your box. You could actually string lights. So instead of putting these at the bottom with the light going up, you could actually make it so that the lights are all strung through at the top. And in which case you would be able to use these lovely sort of crystal drop battery lights and actually have them as a feature in the window of your box. I mean, honestly, I didn't realise that there were so many possibilities to boxes, if I'm being honest, since I have started making these. And there really is, there's so much scope for boxes because you can do so much with them. And I'm actually in the middle. I said I was going to work with one simultaneously, which is what I'm doing at the moment. And I'm using a 300 micron to reinforce that panel. I don't know if I showed you. I think I've taken it out. I may have taken it out, but I think I showed you the bigger panel that I'm working on. And I've used, excuse me, here we go. That's the 300 micron. You can feel that is a substantial weight, very heavy. And I'm working with this now on the thinner ones. So and I'm doing it simultaneously. So as we come along and start decorating, I will show you how I'm getting on with the other one, and we can compare what we're doing to the other one. Right, so you're going to have obviously a lot of spares left over, but if you're making a lot of boxes, and I'm aware it is Christmas coming up, so you may want to make some of these light up boxes. You know, they can be quite really inexpensive presents, really, dependent on what paper you're using. They can be really, you know, inexpensive. So it's good to have those, for me anyway, because I'm making lots of them. Right, so we've done our inner light holders. We're calling them inner light holders. Right, now we're going to move on to the final component. Actually, it's not the final component. Let me tell you before we move on to the final component. For the inside, so the inside of the box, I have cut these hexagon. This is what I'm going to use for the bottom of the box. So this is another thing that you are going to need. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 components altogether. I actually thought there was 8, but there's 5 components. You're going to need something to go in the bottom. It doesn't necessarily have to be a hexagon if you don't have one, but a hexagon box. You could make one. I mean, we know how to, I'm just thinking, if you don't have extra dies, if you don't have frame dies, if you don't have, you know, the hexagon, other boxes, you could actually make a smaller box to go around the side. And I'm just thinking you would need let's tell you, because you know how to do this now. You know how to do this. You've got your compasses. We saw how we did it yesterday. So you would have to make a box that is a 7 centimetre. There you go. A 7 centimetre box to go at the bottom. So it would just really be 2 lids. That's really all you're making, is 2 lids if you don't have these. But I like to make my life easy. Everyone knows I like using what I have. So anyways, I have cut these down to 10 centimetres because that's the size in the box. So remember, where are we? There we go. Remember, I told you when I was making the other lights, when we are measuring this part, okay? Because this is the part that determines what size your actual hexagon is going to be. And that is the part you measure. not this ruler side. Now there may be a way to measure it that way, I'm not sure, but for me it's much easier to measure here, because that is the bit that I know is the edge for the size you need, if you know what I mean. So 10 centimetres along, measure that, cut down at 10. They're actually, these are 10.5 centimetres, so you just had enough to do it. So that's that done. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 components. Now onto our final, and I promise this is the final component of this box. So as I said, it is quite a lengthy project, but we get there. And once you've done all this, then it's onto decoration. So to make our this is your lid that is going to fit on the top. Let me just show you what it is, because just so you know what you're doing, sometimes it does help. This, do you remember this part of the box? Yes? Sorry, I can't get my bearings today. It's this part of the box, the lid that goes between the two, sandwiches between the two boxes. But you'll see as we put it together, you know, listen, you don't necessarily have to do this part, but it just makes for a much nicer finish. Right, now this is how we're going to do it. I've brought this into play. I'm just going to move these out of the way so that I've got more space to work with. Oh, there we go. That's better. Right, so you are going to need to chop out another hexagon at 11.5 centimetres. Excuse me, I'm just taking a gulp. And we're going back to this die set, the outer edge. So you're going to need to cut out one of those. Now there isn't really any easy peasy way of doing this. Again, it is involving measuring, but it's not too difficult. Now you could probably, do you know what? I'm just thinking you could probably actually do this and let's use our tonic. Why not? I will have to use that when I'm cutting with the knife, but let's actually use our tonic. Where are we? Let's actually use our mat, because this is going to help. Now, how am I going to get you to see this? Right, so for measuring, now I'm just looking to see, because these have all got lines on them, haven't they? Oh, you can't see that. I should have set this up before. It was just an afterthought actually, because I thought if there's actually a way, because I know a lot of you do have mats. Can you see? Come on, I don't want to knock my lights over. I want you to be able to see this, because I just thought of a way to make this easier and certainly much better for measurements. Now you do, yes, you do. Now this is an 11.5 centimetres, isn't it? But I'm just looking to see if that, you can use these as lines, can't you, to line up, to make sure that you do have, if you see what I mean, what we're going to do is we're using our ruler and we're going from point to point to make sure, sorry, my head might have to come in the way because I just have to get over the top of it to make sure that because you really have to get this lined up perfectly. So this is how we're determining how we're going to cut out the inside. Now for the inside, you need, let me just think about this, a 2 centimetre, right, so we need 2 centimetres, we need to come in. Right, so keep your ruler straight, and like I say, I'm aligning this also with the mat underneath. So you can use these mats to align it. You don't even have to use, oh no, you do have to use a ruler because you're coming in. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to put a little tiny dot. Sorry, I have to get my head in, I'm so sorry. We're going to put a little tiny dot here at 2 centimetres, okay? And we know it's level, that's right, we know it's level because we've got it level with that point. So we've made a nice little dot at 2 centimetres. And all you're going to do is keep going round. You can align these are really good, I didn't think about that. So you can align them at each end, which is fantastic. But let's just say you haven't got one of these. I'm just, I'm just thinking about, I have all these products and I'm not using them, So again, you're lining this point up with this point, and we're coming in at 2 centimetres. And again, I hope you can see this. Like I said, I did zoom in. I really zoomed in so that you could see it a little bit better than yesterday. 2 centimetres again, and just keep going round, or completely round to each point. Oh, sorry, to get that straight. I really do apologise. I know my head's probably in the way, but I didn't think this out. This is a little bit further away from my chair. Zooming in. Here we go. And again, 2.5 centimetres. Notice it's the only time I actually go quiet when I'm really concentrating. That's 2 centimetres, and we've got one more here. And we're in at 2 centimetres again. Now, let's just line that up. You'll have your other centimetres as well to be able to line it all up perfectly, because once you've put a dot in here, you'll know if your dot's aligned. And it is. Okay, so we've got these tiny little dots. I am going to join them up so you can actually see them. So, just so that you can see them. I didn't do this before. I'm just thinking, do you need to see them? You probably don't really need to see them. I didn't do that, okay? I didn't draw a line. I do it because I think you need to see. You do need to see. So go on, draw a line. You don't need to do this because you know, it depends how steady your hand is. I'll tell you what would be really good here. Now, I don't have a metal ruler, but your metal ruler will come into play here because we're going to use our craft knife to cut. And I don't know if there's any other way to do this, but I think for me this was the only way I could find to do this, to cut out the inside. I suppose you could use scissors, couldn't you? If you didn't have a craft knife, you could make an incision in the middle, sort of cut in the middle and then sort of cut to the outside. But this is how I did it. I'm going to bring this in. Right, this is where your craft knife comes into play. I will say disclaimer, if you're using craft knives, please be careful. If you are watching and you are underage, please get an adult to help you. Just going through all the things to do with knives. Right, so all you're going to do is you're going to come down from point to point, and as much as I really want to do this on camera, I think I'm going to do this in my head. I'm going to try not to. So you come down from point to point, and I'm using obviously my ruler to keep me neat. This is why I didn't actually use I didn't put a line in. I just literally went straight down and cut. And then we're going to cut again. Oh, I'm going to have to just double check that line. Sorry, it's because I can't see. Normally I would be getting right in under there, and it's very important when you're doing the lid. Again, going to stress, this is so important to get this spot on, because if your measurements are out in any way, then it's going to affect your lid. So just come down. This is why I think here, we've done that one, yes. Now let me just check, because there was just one I wanted to just go over, which was here. So we haven't quite got that on the line, and it needs needs to be straight. Okay. So now it should, and if it doesn't, you can give it a little bit of guidance with your scissors. It should just pop out, she says. It did before. Maybe I haven't done my lines enough, so I'm going to give it a little bit of guidance here with some sharp scissors. Here we go, use the small ones. We're going to give it a little bit of guidance. It should, oh, here you go, look, it's because I've not pulled it out enough. I was going to say, because it did come out last time. So a little bit of guidance. Listen, you are going to really do yours with precision and care, and you're not going to, you get the picture, okay? I don't know, I think I've just not pushed down hard enough when I've taken my knife through. So just, there we go, come on, there we go. It will come out. We'll adjust it if it's deciding to be a bit naughty. Deciding to be a little bit naughty, aren't you? Come on. Isn't it funny? I never have all these problems offline, you know, when I'm doing it offline, but as soon as I come to do anything online, it's like, oh. Right, so here we go. Now, I'm not going to worry. You will make sure yours is completely neat, and you'll be able to get your head in there and see it properly. I'm struggling a bit because I can't get my head over the top to see that, to do it. But you get the idea. So now, second step is you're going to come in and you're going to do exactly the same. So let's take this away. You're going to do exactly the same on your very neatly cut hexagon, and yours will be better because you won't be leaning over. You'll be leaning over and moving about. But again, lining the ruler up with each corner, and you're going to come in. I'm just thinking, actually, because we've cut there, we have to measure on here now. That's right. So now here we're taking it from this corner to this corner, and we are putting in 1 centimetre, okay? And you will take your time, and you will make sure that you do this perfectly. Doesn't matter how long it takes you to do it, just make sure you get that. Is my head coming in? I'm so sorry. It's not the easiest of things to demonstrate, is it, when you've got to get your head in the way? Maybe I could have done this before, but there'd be no point doing it before, because then you wouldn't see me doing it, would you? So you're going to come in and put a dot in there at 1 centimetre, and you'll see why it's so important to get this straight. Tonic designers, if you're watching, or any designers for that matter, which I doubt they are, but if anybody is, please could we have a box that does this, please, so we don't have to do all these measurements, because so many possibilities. And if we didn't have to measure out all these components and there was just, you know, die cutting, oh, it wouldn't take so long. Right, now I'm going to do this before I cut down, okay? So we're going to bring in our scoreboard, okay? This is why we needed the point. Now we can make sure, because we know this is going to be absolutely spot on with our scoreboard. So where you've got your point on your hexagon, okay, where you've got your little points, you're going to go to the 1 centimetre mark, and you're going to come down, and you are just going to score a line between those 2 markers, right? Just between those 2 markers. Let me show you. Can you see that? I think you can. And then you're going to turn it around, and then you're going to do it again and score a line at 1 centimetre between your 2 markers, which are your 2 dots. And you're going to do that on every single side until you get all the way round, okay? 2 more to go. Now you are going to know, because you're going to be right. I know this is a perfect measurement, because I know this has measured me a perfect centimetre around the outer edge. And you know, if you do have the hexagon dies, the 11.5 centimetres, you know that the outer side of this is going to be a perfect hexagon. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it is very important. What I'm saying to you is, let's just show you. You can see what I'm saying. I'm trying to show you the whole thing. See that? Where we've put the markers inside. So because we've cut this out from our 11.5 centimetre, we know that's perfectly straight, that edge. We know that that is a perfect centimetre around the outer edge. So that's what I'm saying. When you're cutting out your middle part, take your time and try and get it perfect. You really do want, you want to try and get it perfect. It's not going to initially matter too much, because now, which is the final part to it, we're going to cut down each section from the centimetre mark. And you will see that that is the part that is going to go over the inside of the box. So, we bring that out, and we're going to do exactly the same as what we have done. Really, and again, I'm so sorry if you're seeing my head, but really aligning the point up, okay, because you need to cut down. I'm just looking at this, that's our centimetre. I'm just making sure that you really are cutting down in the corner. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it will be just here. If you can, I don't know if you can see, but that's going to be our cut there. I'll show you at the end. You will see. So you're going from where you've put your centimetre dot. Yeah, so you put your centimetre dot in there, in the middle of the hexagon between these two lines. That's where you're cutting, just down there, and you're making sure that's good, that it's straight. And again here, it is actually quite important that you do this right, and you take your time with it, because it's really going to determine whether you're going to get a really nice lid at the top or whether you're not. Okay, so final cut here, and then you're going to start to realise, okay, right, I see what it is. So can you see where we've made the cuts along those, just along that tiny ridge, all the way round. Ooh, there we go. All those little cuts. And then what you're going to do, and this is why you needed to put the fold line in there. What you're going to do is you'll start to see is fold that down. It's going to come to you. You're going to be like, right, I see. Especially if you've been making boxes, and then you'll think, right, I know how it works now. So that's how I have found to do it. You may know a different way, a better way, because I'm going to tell you, this is not the easiest of thing to put on when you've got two hexagons to put on top of it. The only way you can do it perfectly is if you were making diamante hexagon boxes and you were filling the insides of it, where you've got your inside ridge, a centimetre, if you were filling those with diamantes, it would reinforce your whole hexagon box, and it would be thicker. Then you wouldn't need to worry about this, because you're going to have a heavy thing to, do you understand what I'm saying? It's going to be heavy all the way round. But when you're putting this onto two boxes that there's nothing in between, if you know what I mean, it is quite difficult. But anyways, I'll show you that. So that is the top. So we have to just make the sides, and they are so simple, let me tell you. And this is our final bit. And what time are we on? I have, let's put that there so I can see it. Oh, 34 minutes. That's okay. We've not been doing too bad today. At least we've got these components out the way. And that's good because all your components are done now. You'll be happy to know. So the final part of this is making the outer lips. So you're basically just making an extra lip. Now, I'm sure, to be honest with you, there's probably lots of panels with lips on them in tonic, you know, in all the tonic dyes. So you might be able to find one and then cut that down that way. And it might make for a neater finish, possibly. Sometimes I think when you're using panels from die sets, they do make a neater finish. So if you can find one that is 11.5 centimetres, and I'm sure there is, I think on the memory books, there'll be lots. There's going to be lots of ones, not Legacy, there were 2 other ones, but most of the memory books and the ones that look like folders, they're all going to have ridges. I would guess they're going to be about 1 centimetre, so you could use those. Do you understand what I'm saying? Cut them down. But I'll show you how to do it here just in case you haven't. So we're going to get, you were going to get another sheet of card. I did use it, yeah, I did. Okay, and we're going to score down. I have already done this, but I'm just going to tell you the measurements. We're going to score down at 1/2. Then we're going to score down at 1.5. And then at 2. Moving on to 3 and 3.5. Then 4.5 and 5. Moving on to 6 and 6.5. Yeah. Bringing it all the way down, right? 7.5, 8 and 9. Okay, that's going to give you enough because you only need 6 of these. You need 6 of these. And then you turn your paper around, and obviously we've got an 11.5 centimetre side. So you score down at 11.5 centimetres, right? So that is what you are left with. And don't throw away this bit, because you can use that for another box. Do you see what I mean? You've got another 11.5 centimetres there, so you don't have to do it again. So the good thing about this is, you know, making all of these components is once you've done this once, if you're making a few boxes, like 3 or 4, you're going to have, you know, you're going to have all these in your, you know, you're going to have them already done. So you're going to use your trimmers. I'm going to invest as well in a paper trimmer because I think that you'll be able to do all this on a paper trimmer. You'll be able to score and then you'll be able to chop. So I've never used one, but I think I might invest. Right, so remember, this is very important. Where are we? This is very important that you're getting this straight. You've got to get the lines straight. So do use a cut or a chopper, but I want to show you where you're cutting at. So I think it's pretty obvious where you're going to be cutting. Yeah. So you've got your edge, your 5mm, and your 1 centimetre for the outside. Okay. So I'm just going to show you. I'm probably going to redo this anyway because I wasn't entirely happy with the lid I've done, and I really want to do that. So before I stick that on, I'll probably just do another one. But that is what we do. I want to just show you how it's all stuck together so you can see it. So we need 6 of those, and again, very important on your measurements here. Very important. I mean, this is not good. you really can't cut these down. Even the steady hand and concentration, not with so many little panels. One more. You want them all to be level with each other. So if you have these paper trimmers, please use them. It's going to make you finish. So this is really important as well because you're making this completely from scratch. Now, just thinking on it, what you could have done to make your life easier, I just had an afterthought. To make your life easier, before you cut your lines, you would have been a good idea actually to fold your 5mm down, because anybody that knows folding a 5mm, you know, fold line, score line with nothing on the other side is not the easiest. It's just, you can use your, what do I normally use? I use the back of these. So I think it's important in this instance to use a bone folder with this. So you get your 5 centimetre ridge and your 1 centimetre, and you're now going to need to do that on all of them. And yes, fold before. And actually, while I've done this, I'm going to tell you another thing as well. When you're cutting your panels on your, you know, on your inside panels on the outer box, if you're going to do a window and it's big, you're using the bigger ones like I showed you yesterday, fold your lines before you start doing any cutting. This is where we did the panels. Do you remember on the 11.5 centimetre box? Well, the ones we did yesterday, they were fine. They didn't need, do you remember, they didn't really need a fold because they weren't flimsy enough. So when the bigger the die cut, I can't believe I didn't bring my, I thought I brought my, I don't know where I put it. I don't know, I'm wondering if there's somebody at my door as well. I can hear banging. I don't know where I've put it, but the one I showed you yesterday, I think I'm going to have to go and get it to show you what I mean, because I have started doing another one. But it is a good idea to fold your panels if you're making the frames a little bit flimsy, because when you cut down them and there's nothing, you've weakened them, they're really difficult to fold, and they're a little bit like this. So I haven't really made my life easy, have I? Oh, who saw, just thinking on it, who saw that lovely, I think her name was Julie, on the Tonic Studios page. She posted this lovely pumpkin. She used, I've got that set as well. She used the tea set. What a clever idea. The teapot. I can't remember. Was it called Time for Tea? I could be just, I could be making that up. Was it called Time for Tea or something like that? But I do have it, and I'm shamed to say I haven't used it yet. But she made this beautiful pumpkin. She used it as a pumpkin, and I thought, wow, I like that idea. I thought that was fantastic. That was really clever. Right, so we've got our six little panels now, haven't we? So this is where we want to glue. We want the glue on the 5mm. You see, we want all glue all down here. Now I have decided that with these boxes, rubbing down the panels your glue is much better. You get a nice neat, you get it stuck nicely. Right, so what you're doing, quite straightforward and, you know, not too difficult. You are running your 5mm right up, and I mean right up to the edge, right up to the edge. If you can leave the most tiniest millimetre, try and do that, because you need as much room on the outer edge. Now, if anybody can come up with a different way of doing this, or, you know, once you see the box constructed, you know, and you look and you think, oh, you know what, maybe you could do that a bit better, then let me know. Because like I said, you know, this is not easy to stick on at the end. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Oh, you know what I've not done? I'll do it now. Sorry, I forgot to tell you to cut off the corners. I will do that now so you can see. My mistake. And it's important to cut the corners off as well, because otherwise you're going to get a funny, you know, you're going to get a really funny corner. But don't worry, I'm going to do this again anyway, so I'm not too worried. Just putting that on the edge. So I'm going to stick that right down. Sorry, my fault, everyone. Please do this as well. Cut your, where the 5mm is, cut your corners. Oh, I forgot to tell you to do that, silly me. Cut your corners off your 5mm. I'll show you once I've done it. It's pretty straightforward, because otherwise they don't, and they want, you know, they meet and overlap, and you definitely don't want that. So just go around 5mm just like that and chop them. Do you see what I mean? So there you go. So just chop the corners on the 5mm, so they're not interfering with the other panels. Okay, I'm nearly done. I know this is a bit laborious, and I know the first two parts are always, the exciting part is always putting it together, and I know you're dying to see it, how it's all going to come together, but you know, you've got to have the measurements. So I'll just keep going round here, making sure that it's all level. Come on, you again. I'm going to take your time on this one. I never thought that I would be doing this with all these measurements. Oh, another thing actually I'll just touch on, and I was talking to Shona the other day again, because, you know, she's interested in how this box is going to come together, and she was talking about, she thinks she's figured out a way. I know you're going to go, oh gosh, not more, but I think she's figured out a way to rotate the hexagon box. She said she's figured out a way to rotate them, and I'd love to see that. You know, when she said about rotating, I mean, we've really moved on now, haven't we? We've gone from single hexagon boxes to, you know, light up middle ones, and it seems like, you know, I thought this was the end of the hexagon box, but it seems like there may be a way to rotate. Now, I actually, after Shona had said I might be able to rotate, it got me thinking. I thought, oh my gosh, people are going to think she's crazy with these boxes. But you could rotate them. You could have the middle one, the middle box. You could have a light up rotating box. Easy, yes, you could. If you got a, I don't know if you've seen them, but if you've got a battery, if you get a battery operated, it's like a Lazy Susan. You know the Lazy Susans. They do them on the internet, and I'm not going to lie, I've ordered a couple because I thought, okay, that sounds interesting, and you know, I'm making some other ones simultaneously along here, you know, alongside this one, so I might see if I can pop a rotating Lazy Susan inside of one, and you know, while I'm making this, and see if it does work. But I'm not sure if that was what you had in mind. I'm not sure when you said about rotating. I'm just wondering if that's what you thought when you said, you know, I can get it rotating. I was thinking maybe that could be what you're talking about. I don't know. So we might move our hexagon box making onto a bigger level of rotating boxes. How about that? I mean, that's really over the top. Right, so here you go. This is the only way I could work out how to do it, right? You do, you know, I haven't put this together amazingly well because I'm doing this on camera, and I'm aware I do need to probably do another one of these because I'm not, you know, I need to get in there. When you're doing these, you need to get in there. You need to get your heads in there. You really, really need to get this right, because if you don't get it right, it's not going to go over the top of your two boxes, okay? But that is what you get. So that, in effect, is the inner lid, okay? So, to recap, we have now finished all our components of our box. So we're going to recap on these quickly. We're going to recap on these, excuse me, so you know what we have. And I'm going to try and get them all in. Let's try and get them all in, okay? There we go. so you can see. Can you see? You can just about, can't you? You can just about see this. Oh, that's underneath here, isn't it? Just so that we've got all these in now, because this is now coming to an end, and we can then start the real construction, the real nitty-gritty of it all, right? So, actually we have got 6 components. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 components. That's right, to this box. So we've just completed the top lid, and we've got our inner light holders that we've done. You've got your hexagon, which is going to go at the bottom, right? I don't know if I have done a hexagon. There's no point in me doing another one. I have done a hexagon video. If you go to the hexagon, it was using the memory book dies light up wall feature. If you go to that video, I show you how to put together the hexagon die frames. So there's no point. you can see me put them together there. So you've got that, and then we've got our outer box. Do you remember we did our panels? Okay, and then our inner box with our hexagon that we did, our own hexagon, yeah, with the inner cutouts, and we've got our lid. Now, the lid is something that you are not going to put together till the end. So there we have it. There are all your components done, right? Done. That is all the things you need to create this light up box. Obviously, we're going to then move on to the next part. Now is going to be decorating and constructing, okay, which I will try and get together tomorrow morning for you. I'm probably not, I mean, I've got a couple of these going at the same time, and I wanted to just show you, once I construct a couple of these boxes, and we're going to do one online, I wanted to show you the different things that you could do with them, i.e. using crystals and diamonds within the box, which sometimes can work out quite quickly. You're not decorating inside panels. Do you see what I mean? I want to give you, because you've worked so hard on putting all your components together, I'm aware, as I said to you, putting 2 boxes together is a long project, right? It's not, you know, you've got all these panels to cut out, you've got the insides to decorate, you know, you really have got a lot going on here. So while I do it, I just want to show you that there is a way of using crystals within the box. So when you're cutting out these, and you've got your box behind, once you've constructed everything, lights are all the way through, you can actually fill the whole outer edge, the whole 1 centimetre edge with crystals. So you get crystals coming through, and the light will shine up through the crystals. And it's quicker because you haven't got to decorate anything. You know, maybe you want to decorate the outside panels, but you certainly don't really have to decorate anything inside. So, right. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow morning, and we will get this box constructed, okay, from start to finish. Even if I haven't got panels at the moment to put on these, I'll try and get them done today, because it would be nice for you to see it all done up. I will construct this as it is, so you can see exactly what's gone on. I will do the hexagon. I will mock this. You know, I'll put this up. You know, there is really, honestly, there's no point in me doing it again. Go and have a look at my hexagon wall light feature, and I show you twice. There's 2 times I put these together. Just remember, if you're using these, cut them down to 10.5. And I will recap one more time on the whole making an inner box for our lights to go in. You know, it doesn't have to be, this is going to be your inner box. That's going to be the size of it, right? So it doesn't have to really be, I mean, it's obviously, it would be much neater if it's a rectangle. If you've got hexagon boxes, you can use 2 lids. You only need as much space to fit a battery inside, a battery pack. That's why I've used the hexagon dies, because I know one frame set you can have a whole battery pack, you know, the ones where it holds 2 batteries in it. So I know that's the height. But you could, you know, again, if you haven't got any of those, do what we did with this. If you don't even, you know, if you've just got the memory book dies, make one. Remember what I said, you know, you've got plenty in here to use. You've got plenty. You know, you don't, it just has to go over this inner cut. Do you see what I mean? So the one that we used, which was the third one in, wasn't it? I think it's this one, the third one in. All you've got to do is make a box. I think I did say, was it 7 centimetres? 7.5. Oh, it's an odd one. 7.8, I think it is. Oh, they made it tricky, didn't they? Oh, they made it tricky. The third one in is actually 7.8. We said 7, didn't we? I mean, listen, you could do it on 7 or 8. You could do it on 8. So use, what was that one, 8.5. As long as you haven't, remember this is 10.5 centimetre. You could do it on 8.5. You could do it on the second one in, okay? Use the second one in. If you haven't got anything and you have to make a little box, make 2 lids. Very, very short ones, so make 2 lids. You don't need to do a whole thing with panels, you just need 2 lids and they'll go into each other. Yeah, do it at, what's that one? 9. Is it 8.5? They're all quite odd measurements. Oh dear, they are 8.7. Oh, okay. You can do it. Just remember, use your compass, not your protractor. Use your compass and do it that way. Right, I'm going to stop rabbiting. Listen, thank you so much for watching, and I will be back tomorrow with the construction of the box. You take care. Bye.